Hey everybody, Economic Ninja here. I've got a subscriber question, and it's not just one. I have had this question over and over again for the last 5 months, 6 months, and I want to do a video about it. I answer these questions, but it's a very important question, and that is, Ninja, should I start a side hustle or a business right now? And I'm going to tell you right now, I believe it is time. And the reason why, and there's a difference between a side hustle and a business, and I'm gonna talk about that in a course that I've started. Actually, if you wanna see the course, we're doing pre-orders for the course right now. As the course gets bigger and bigger, you can get in now earlier because I have been flipping items and making money and turning those side hustles into viable businesses for a long time. As a matter of fact, I started when I was in the 6th grade selling candy, go figure. And I think it's very important not only to earn money on the side, but also learn a new skill, especially if you don't think you're the kind of person that could do that. I could show you how to start small. And I think that's very important. Start small. Start with something around your house. Start with something that you enjoy, that you love, that you have a passion about. Why? Because what if it fails? Oh, cool. You had a good time and you still have the item that you like, right? I want people to do things with as little risk as possible, because most people do not start a business because they're afraid of what could happen, or they jump in with both feet, they get into debt, and then they fail. And I don't want to see that. So I decided to do this course. I'll put a link to it in the description below, and I think that's very important. But going back to the question, is this the right time to start a business? I believe it is. And you could probably say, well, Ninja, you said the economy is going to crash. You are correct, it is. And I'm telling you right now, when you can start a business during bad times, you're going to crush it in the good times, right? Because it's going to limit you. See, right now in great economic times, people are sort of untethered. There's all this free money floating around. It's super easy to get money. You know, credit is easy, right? Interest rates are low. Even with what's going on lately, interest rates are still historically low. That causes people to get too extended, and when hard times come, they contract. Well, I have been a great example with my palm tree business, where I started it right at the top, and as it started crashing, I was buying inventory, no joke, for pennies on the dollar. And I talk about that in the course, but pennies, literally pennies on the dollar, right? And then all I had to do with my tree business is replant them and let them grow. And they sat in an area that I was either gonna be blank dirt or it was gonna be making me money. And even during the hardest times, there were still sales, right? But what that did, those hard times, it essentially battle hardened me. It didn't allow me to get stretched too thin and do things that I shouldn't be doing with credit or debt. And it still allowed me to gain those skills of sales and things like that. So I think it's very, very important. Now, another reason I think that you should start a business right now is because the economy is literally coming together and dividing at the same time. We've talked about how this is a one world global economy now. It's so tied in. You can see like what happened with the supply chain issues with the Russia and Ukraine war, right? It's even affecting countries all over the world. We're about to see something possibly happen with China, and I do believe we're going to see that in the near future, in the next 6 months, which is going to completely collapse certain supply chains. And it's very important to understand. It's time for us to bring manufacturing and business back to America. Well, how do you do that? Well, there has to be sort of a reset, sort of a change in the atmosphere of business. There has to be a change in the perception of how business is done. And for a long time, for decades and decades, we've been farming most of our stuff off to China because of labor costs and things like that. It's time to change. And yes, it's painful, but it can happen, right? Not only that, if you think about it, the Made in America movement is quite amazing. And I'm sure that so many of you, and put it down in the comments below, what you think about the idea of Made in America, how important it is to try and keep our money in our country, right? And this goes for anyone all over the world that's listening to this, that is thinking about, you know, how do we need to take care of ourselves first. America's take care of America. Europe has to take care of Europe. China's take care of China. Before it can go out and try and help people or do something dumb. Let's just be honest here. It's very important right now that we keep our focus on our own countries, in my opinion, and heal. Because there's a lot of damage that has been done, especially financially, all right? So do I think it should be a good time? Yes, I do. Do I think you should go crazy and go big and get debt and do all that stuff? No. And the sad thing is the system is built in a way that it almost, you think it would force you into debt. But right now, while we still have cash, I'm telling you, this is the perfect time to start getting those skills. Not only that, starting your own side hustle or business, when you start small and you grow and you minimize your risk, what happens is it builds confidence inside of you. They are skills that no one can ever take away from you. Even if you fail, no one can take that lesson from you, right? You've heard this story before where if you give a rich man, if you take a rich man's money away, right? And you give it to a poor man, 1 year later, the poor man will be poor again, the rich man will be rich. It's because it's a way of thinking, and people need to understand how very important that is, all right? We're on the site of one of my side hustles. Actually, my biggest side hustle that I ever did in my life, money-wise, was right here. And I'm gonna tell stories about that later. I'm really excited to film those videos, and you can see why I love where I live. I think it's very important for people to realize how important it is today to get that extra skill, how to garner relationships, how to pick the right partners, how to identify the wrong partners, things like that. Because we are blessed right now, you are blessed watching these videos because you have something that most people you don't understand, that don't know what's going on, have, and that's time. You have time because you know how short time is. And I hope you understand how important that is. These people that are running around and they're at their soccer games and they're partying and having fun, it's just like right before the Great Recession, right? Many of them had no idea that a year and a half later, they would not have their house. The banks were coming to take their house, right? People like myself that were selling my homes and getting ready for that correction had time. So you have that amount of time between when you understand something's happening and when it actually happens to do things in between to get ready for it. And the last thing I want to hear from anybody was that, hey, I was watching your videos, you were talking about this correction that's coming, it's actually a crash this time, and I didn't do anything to prepare for it. I didn't save up any money, and now there's all these amazing deals. Everything's on sale, and that would be just criminal. I mean, honestly, that's the worst thing. That's the thing I never want to hear. I want to hear people like, hey, I did it. I set aside. I lived like nobody today so that I could live like nobody else tomorrow. I'm crushing it. I'm sitting on my big boat. I got my plane. I've got my house. It might just be, your dreams might be a track home. And that was my first dream ever. I got to do a video about that. But a track home in a suburban area, and you're just super happy because it has stucco and a tiled roof. There's some people that their dreams to have a garage. There's nothing wrong with that. I want you to live your dream and make it happen. That's the most important part, all right? So again, if you want to check out the class, cool. If not, don't worry about it. There's going to be lots of videos I'm going to do talking about this stuff because it's important. I want to talk about the psychological benefits of starting a side hustle and gaining that confidence and making money for you and your family. All right, guys, that being said, I thank you so much for watching. The Economic Ninja is out.